Yo, what's poppin' YouTube? Hey man, let's talk about Hard Knocks season debut. Now, before we get into all of that, man, make sure you hit the like button. Yeah, make sure you hit the subscribe button. Make sure I hit the notification bell. Make sure y'all leave a comment. Make sure you share all of that stuff, man. But yeah, so Hard Knocks, man. Hard Knocks. I watched the season premiere last night. And I'm a big fan of these shows. I love watching. I was watching kind of the old ones on YouTube, and I'm glad to see it come back even through the coronavirus stuff. And this one is particularly special to me because it has my team in it. Well, we're sharing it, but it has my team, the Chargers, and we're sharing it with the Rams. So it's kind of a Los Angeles kind of vibe, which is cool. But man, yeah, let's go ahead and let's stop rambling. Let's go ahead and get into it, man. So it starts off pretty much with Anthony Lynn at his desk, looking at paperwork. He's kind of like, talking under his breath to himself. And then he goes into the Zoom call with all the players. And, the players probably in there talking shit. And they see him coming in like, oh, shit, coach here. Should I? And I think that's cool, I think and just seeing his interaction, even through his, even though it's on Zoom, even though it's through Zoom, seeing his interaction with the players is pretty cool. And he's, giving them words of inspiration. Not really inspiration, but just kind of explaining to how the season potentially is going to go. It's going to be a crazy, hectic season. It's going to be like nothing they've ever seen before, not like nothing anybody's ever seen before. So it's going to be crazy change. It's going to be new. It's going to be a lot of chaos. And they were just asking him questions, trying to get some more information on what was going on. And to the best of his ability, he answered. He said he's going to answer, and if he couldn't get you the answer, he's going to find the answer for you. And that's always. I always respect that, kind of mindset. If I ain't got the answer for you, then I can find somebody who do got the answer. So that's how it started. Oof, let me slow down. I'm talking too fast. That's kind of how it started off. The next segment goes into Sean McVay talking to his director of football operations, and they did something really cool and creative. They made like a little, not a dome, but like they made like a tent, a big ass tent in the parking lot. And the way they set it up is to kind of just like, it's a real big tent, and they'll have like offense on one side, defense on another side. They got weights, they got chairs and desks set up so they can do like meetings or whatnot. And it's really a real creative way to tackle the whole COVID thing, because they're outside, and they're outside. They're not in a confined space, and on top of that, they got turf where they can do their workouts, do their drills and everything. And if they want to line up, they can line up. And they go straight from a meeting and then turn around, go right into like a formation or something like that. So that was really cool. But he was pretty much just like breaking it down to her, trying to tell her what was going on, with how he planned to make it work. Then after that, it goes into Anthony Lynn with his wife. He's outside grilling, and he's cooking. He's pretty much telling how he, how he grills his meat, how he smokes his meat, and he grills it, and all of that cool stuff. He goes into like kind of a little bit of his experience. Like there was a time where he wanted to go work for the Chargers before he was a head coach. But he got kind of forced into, headed to Cleveland. Somebody kind of talked him into going, taking a job at Cleveland. And he was telling how like he looked up something online. He was like, Cleveland is the worst place for single men, which I kind of agree. I know somebody from Cleveland, and he kind of tries to talk it up, but we all know Cleveland is a third world country, low key. And that's pretty much where he met his wife. So it kind of turned out, it worked out for him in the long run, because he did meet somebody in Cleveland. And that was pretty cool to see. And also to see him, so he pretty much had like one of his wife's real nice spoons. He had tied like a napkin around it, and he was using that to put the barbecue sauce on the meat. I thought that was pretty cool. That's old school. That's real old school. Like usually people just use the brush, but I thought that was funny. And then it goes into the other side, showing Sean McVay's lifestyle a little bit more. I mean, I wouldn't say a little bit more plush, but he's like more like, the kind of stylish guy. He's got the real nice house. He's got the model wife, the dog, the big pool, and he's kind of expressing how much he wanted to get back out there and coach football. And he's a fanatic when it comes to football. I can see it in his eyes. He's a football junkie. Yeah, we'll talk a little bit more about Sean McVay. So then it goes into Melvin Ingram pulling up to the facility. He's in his little, I don't know what they call that 3-wheel thing. I don't know what they call that. One of my neighbors got one outside, a little spider thing or whatever. And he's rapping one of his songs called Dark Side, which is a banger, by the way. And he's pulling up in style. Like, you know how players like to pull up in style. I think Jalen Ramsey last year pulled up in the back of a Brinks truck and had HaHa Davis commentating him and whatnot. I thought that was pretty cool. I always like shit like that. Then it goes into pretty much the experience of the players coming into the facility and having to get tested, and they're probably going to be having to do that every single day. And just kind of seeing their reactions was funny. Casey Hayward was terrified of that test, and a lot of people were actually like real scared or like, you know, cautious of that test, because I had it and I had the bad one. There's a bad one and there's a good COVID test. The bad one is the one where they stick this fucking, I don't even know what it's called. It's like a real long like Q-tip, and they stick it and it poked the front of your brain, man. It literally pokes your brain. They stick it in there, boop, and they pull it out. The good one is where they just do it, is the ones that the players get, and the ones that the players in the bubble, in the NBA bubble, are getting, where it's just like a Q-tip and they kind of just swirl it around your nose. And all it really does is tickle, but it doesn't really, you know what I'm saying, you don't feel no pain. So seeing their reactions was funny. Casey Hayward was acting like a little scared, like he was acting scared. He was jumping and all of that stuff, so that was cool. Then after that segment, it goes into Sean McVay. There's a little bit of Sean McVay here where he's kind of talking about how much he does not like the mask, and somebody gets him like a face shield, which he loves it because, you know, you can actually see his face and he can talk properly, and he's, you know, he pulls up, I think it's his coaching staff he pulls up on, and there he's talking to them, just kind of like, you know, talking about nonverbal communication, which is which I'm learning this year is very important. Nonverbal communication is a very important aspect of communication. It's not just talking, and he's kind of going in on that, and he's looking real funny with that damn face mask on, but I guess it's gonna work for him. But the thing about Sean McVay is, I know Sean McVay, he's got a lot of John Gruden in him, and you can tell that he worked under Gruden. You can definitely tell, because he just like he's like a more spry kind of, but he's got a lot of John Gruden in him, man. And it's just like it oozes out of him. He can't even hide it. It's crazy. That's all I can really, like, how I can really explain him, really. Then it goes into kind of both teams. It starts off with the Chargers and goes on to the Rams, but they're kind of just on the field. And the Chargers players are kind of like, you know, they're just talking about, you know, their lifestyle now, just kind of staying, what's the word? Just kind of staying to themselves and practicing social distancing and all of that. You know, Justin Jones is talking about how his girl's pregnant. He can't, you know, really risk anything. And Chris Harris is talking to Dean Spanos and John Spanos, his son, and, you know, talking about like how he's just kind of like he goes to practice and then goes home and just, you know, orders Uber Eats. It's kind of like how everybody's doing pretty much now. It's just like it's different, and it's crazy that it affects everybody no matter how much money you have. And, you know, the mask thing, you can't even recognize people's faces, and, you know. Then it goes into the segment where we see what's his name, Dante Dion, the cornerback that kind of bounces around training camp. They said he bounces around training camp to, like, you know, not the starting lineup, but the roster. And he's hilarious, man. He's a character. You could tell he was that dude in the class cracking jokes and the clown and always talking shit. He was funny as hell, coming at AD talking about he was getting swole and, you know, trying to challenge him with the muscles and all that. AD's that's a big motherfucker, man. AD's huge. But he's funny ass dude. He's a guy that I feel like every team needs on their team, you know, and not even just for, you know, his skill set, just like his morale. And he's a clown, man. You could tell he's getting himself weighed, talking about his weight, and, you know, they clowning him, talking about he looking like a greyhound and all of that. And then he go into the locker room and see he in the projects pretty much on the other side of the thing. And then he look at the starters, like the main rosters locker room. He's like, man, it's the suburbs. And it's crazy. Like Jalen Ramsey got they all got like seats. You can like lift the seats up, put stuff. It's like storage under the seats and stuff like that. And, you know, he's just clowning, talking who I got to race, who I got to fight to get in here. Man, it's hilarious. I love like players like that with that type of personality. It's always good to have them around. You know, even back when I was playing football, you always had that one guy that was clowning. It's, you know, it always lightened the mood, win or loss. You know, it's always good to have somebody like that. And, you know, what else was I going to say? Yeah, man. And I mean, I think the best way for him to get into the suburbs, as he would say, or the nice locker room, is pretty much to just make the team. So, I mean, he's got a long way to go, I'm assuming. It's only the first episode, but I love him. And I can't wait to see him, like, actually out there competing a little bit. Hopefully I don't know what the restrictions is, but I kind of want to see him. Hopefully I get to see him compete a little bit. And then it goes into probably my favorite segment in the whole joint, when Jalen Ramsey was getting interviewed, and those reporters were asking him about his contract, and he kind of gave him the mature answer. He didn't say nothing crazy. He was like, I'll let my agent and the organization handle that. And they was kind of like, well, yeah, we'll get that, but I mean, for you and your mentally, how? And he was just like, no, you got to take the answer that I'm giving you now. Like, you can't don't try to push me. Like, I'm giving you an answer. You want me to say something crazy? Like, pretty much, like, they wanted him to say something crazy, but he was giving them a basic kind of like a political answer. Like, yeah, I'll just let them handle that. I can't control that, which he's right. He can't control nothing what it has to do with his contract. And then, you know, they was trying to, like, you know, and then this lady kind of chimed in, and he's like, no, man, like, look, you got to take the answer that I give you, and don't, you know what I'm saying, don't try to pry nothing, because, like, they know him. I'm pretty sure they know him and his personality. Like, they probably was trying to get him to say something crazy, which, you know, I wouldn't be surprised. But I respect Jalen Ramsey for holding his ground there and not, you know, but also, like, telling them, like, yo, don't, like, pretty much don't try me. Like, yo, I'm telling you an answer. Take the answer that I give you. If you don't like it, move on. You know what I'm saying? If you like it, then cool. Like, and he pretty much walked off. They had to convince him to come back, and, you know, it went on from there. So that's what I really respect about Jalen Ramsey. It's not only is he, like, probably the best cornerback in the league, but he's very vocal, confident. He can talk, you know what I'm saying? He'll talk his shit on the field. Like, he was talking shit to Gronk, talking about Gronk got fuck with him, and nobody in the league better than him. I love that confidence. I love hearing that out of players, I love hearing that out of athletes. That's just, like, it's so refreshing, because it seems like 99% of athletes are just, like, just political, like, yeah, well, but, you know, just here, like, it's refreshing, man, to hear something like that, because these sports are competitive. Like, when we're out there, like, even if you're out there playing a pickup game at the gym, or you out on the field playing football, like a 7-on-7, it's competitive. It's chirping, it's shit talking, it's competitive. So I know just because they're pro athletes and they make a lot of money, it's like, you know, I know they're out there, you know, wanting to talk shit to each other. So it's like, to hear, like, basic ass answers, like these political answers, is like, it's boring, and it's just like, to hear, like, somebody like Jalen Ramsey go off, not really go off, but kind of just speak his mind and tell him, like, yeah, don't try me. Like, it's refreshing as hell. Then after that segment, it goes into another contract talk section. Well, not really contract talk, but, you know, it pretty much goes into Joey Bosa signing his new massive deal, making him the highest paid defensive lineman, or I don't know if it's defensive lineman or defensive end in football right now. So as a Chargers fan, this made me super happy to see. I already knew what happened, but it made me super happy to just see it again. Just seeing that we was able to get that deal done, because I remember his rookie year when we had that contract debacle where he wanted something and we wasn't trying to give him something. We ended up figuring it out, and I was like, oh Lord, hopefully we, you know what I'm saying? And we have a history for being super cheap and not investing in our players like we should. Like, you know, Drew Brees was a good example. LT was a good example. We could have kept those two around. Vincent Jackson was a good example. You know, just not wanting to pay them when they, you know, because they did, those three players in itself did a lot for us. Those were some of our best players that we've ever had on this team. And, you know, to see us not pay them was like crazy. But, you know, to see us get this Joey Bosa deal done, especially now when people are making this, especially defensive linemen, they're making this crazy amount of money. I love seeing it. I would love that we were able to get that done. So, and then he gets a little bit emotional talking about his dad at the end when he got drafted. And I just love seeing it, man. Joey Bosa is one of my favorite players, not only on the Chargers, but, you know, just in general. So I was happy to see that as a Chargers fan. And then, so after that segment, it goes into Justin Herbert, our first round draft pick, number 6 overall, signing his rookie contract. And that was an easy process too. I'm glad. But and then it goes into him pretty much out there, you know, throwing a ball and, showing off his talents, and he looks damn good. Now I can almost guarantee that Tyrod Taylor is probably going to start off the season, just knowing how Anthony. Sorry, I'm trying not to talk too fast. Knowing Anthony Lynn and his style, like I'm almost certain Tyrod's going to start off the season starting. They had a connection in Buffalo when their head coach got fired. Anthony Lynn took over the team, and at that time, Tyrod Taylor was his starting quarterback. So I know they have a relationship here. There's like a mutual respect. But when I'm looking at Justin Herbert just looks so damn good out there throwing the football. Now I know he's just throwing the football in nets and whatnot, but still, man, he's got like. The teammates are already talking about how pretty his ball is, man. And he's just like, he's got a good throwing motion. It's quick. He's 6'6". He's, you can look over top of the lineman, and it's just I just can't wait to see him play actual football. I'm kind of mad that we don't have preseason, because I would just love to see him play some football, play it like a drive or two, or a quarter or two, But yeah. Most Chargers fans are looking for Tyrod Taylor to start, and then hopefully, I'm not gonna say hopefully, because if Tyrod does good, and we start off good and we're headed to the playoffs or whatnot, and we're like, if we're solid and we're like on the way to like the playoffs, then Tyrod Taylor's probably gonna finish out the season. But if Tyrod Taylor is just like average. If he's average to bad, then you can look to see Justin Herbert probably in the middle of the season probably taking over. And that's how I would like it. I wouldn't want to throw a rookie quarterback in the fire, just like how some of these teams do. I think it always works best when you have a veteran guy. You start him at quarterback, let him do his thing, and then you bring in your rookie to kind of put the fire out, in a sense. To where, especially if you start a veteran quarterback and it doesn't go well, and you start off say like 1-4, 1-5, and then you bring your rookie in and he kind of gets a couple wins, gets confidence, and people start believing in him. I was, oh my God, he's our savior. He came in, he won games, and I would prefer that approach. Then after that segment, it goes into somebody walking into Anthony Lynn's office, and he pretty much going into. He wanted to come in and just ask him questions about his experience with COVID, because he actually contracted COVID. And I didn't know this, and I don't even remember it being put out on like Bleacher Report or ESPN. Oh, excuse me. I don't remember it being put out anywhere. So I think that was the first time that I heard that. So he was just kind of wanted to pick his brain about how he felt when he had got it. And he said that he was having trouble sleeping. He was coughing. And he was, feeling hot and sweaty. And he was watching golf and saw that one of the golfers had sat out from one of the games. And come to find out, he was feeling the same symptoms that he was feeling. And come to find out, he was tested positive for COVID. And he was like, wait, I'm feeling like that. And so that kind of enticed him to go get tested. And lo and behold, he had it too. So he was talking about if he had never watched that golf game, he would have never even got it tested, which is crazy to think about. So that was kind of his experience with it. After that, it goes into the segment where Anthony Lynn addresses his team to the pretty much the stuff that's going on with the Black Lives Matter and the protests and then the riots and all of that. Pretty much letting them know, like, hey guys, you don't have to hide nothing. Like, if you guys want to go out there and protest, and now go ahead, feel free. And like he supports their the decision to go out there and speak their minds and protest and in a sense give support however they want to do it, which I respect a lot, because I didn't hear Sean McVay talk about that, which I'm not saying he has to talk about it, but I just respect it. I respect the way he went about it, pretty much saying you don't have to worry about like kneeling and all of that stuff. It's pretty much what he said. So like he supports, and he's probably on the same train with him. That's why I really love Anthony Lynn, because he's like a player's coach to me. He's a player's coach. He respects, and he respects the opinions of the players. He asks questions. He's with them. He talks to them. He's always respectful. That's why I like him as a coach. I love him as a coach, actually. After that, it goes into one of the players. I think it was a rookie. His name was Terrell Lewis, I believe. and he actually tested positive for COVID. They had to kind of pretty much get him out the building, and the players kind of like, oh, he got COVID, and then Sean McVay had to kind of address the team after that. It wasn't really much of a segment, just showing that one of the players actually got it, and just noting that I think there were no Chargers players that contracted COVID, which is cool. Then it goes into another very interesting segment where Anthony Lynn is making phone calls and pretty much letting these guys know, you got cut, and kind of giving them that basic. I've seen it, Hard Knocks, you kind of see that side where the coaches have to cut people and kind of give them that speech like, yeah, you should, work on this, work on that. And, we always bring guys back that know our system, even if it's just a little bit. So just, keep your head up. If you're not already with somebody and we got somebody go down, we're going to come call you. We're going to holler at you. I like the way he does it. He's just like, I love his demeanor. He's like a true head coach to me. He's like a true leader. And then it goes into one of the tight ends. His name was Andrew Vollard, and he was one of the guys that got cut. But he actually stepped in the office just to kind of express his frustrations because he felt like he was working his ass off and he put in a lot of work, and he's like, he doesn't understand why he got cut. And Anthony Lynn he just kind of explained it to him like, it's the same thing. Like you're on our radar always. You know a little bit of the system, and you have been working your ass off, but it's pretty much a numbers game, and you were at the bottom of the list, so it just kind of happened like that. And I thought that was cool that he showed that fire. It showed that he cared pretty much. Like he showed that, hey, look, I cared, and I think it's crazy that I got cut because I've been working my ass off, and I respect that. And I respect how Anthony Lynn handled it, and he actually liked seeing that from him too, seeing that fire. He commended that, and then he went to talk to Tom Telesco. Shout out to Tom Telesco because he had that For the Brand shirt, and shout out to Pat McAfee. Pat McAfee's the GOAT, rapping For the Brand. But kind of like he was talking about how he came into his office first. He was like, man, what the fuck? That's bullshit. And it was like, I like that. I like seeing that out of players. That showed that fire, showing that you care. It makes me want to play football again, man. And after that was pretty much it. It was just pretty much training camp clips and Sean McVay acting more like what's his name, John Gruden, talking about how hot his house was and how excited he was. And that was pretty much it. And then at the very, very end, it was a funny little segment with Aaron Donald and his I guess his teammates talking about. So no, it started off with Sean McVay saying, so don't shit in the porta potty, only use it to pee, because he walked in there, he said he's about to throw up, which was funny, and they was just going in like, who shit in the porta potty? That was a good little segment to see. I always like seeing those type of things because it makes them human. I already know they're human, but just to see it, like, people think that these athletes are just like robots and stuff. So to see like them laughing and joking around with each other, it's always fun to see, because I kind of, I miss that. I miss that even back when I was playing football in high school. I missed that shit. It was a camaraderie, and it was just fun. That's pretty much it, man. That's all I got. Like I said, make sure y'all hit the like button, subscribe, comment, share, notification bell, all of that stuff. I'll be looking out for the next episode, I believe. What was yesterday? Wednesday or Tuesday? I guess they'll come out every Tuesday night. So I'll be looking out for that next one on Tuesday night. Thank y'all for watching. Hope y'all enjoyed, and I'm out of here, man.